Right now on Morning News Now, Southern California bracing for the worst. Breaking overnight, another fire breaking out north of Los Angeles 1 week into the firefight. This morning, dangerous winds expected to pick up again, challenging fire crews. Now, officials warning people to stay out of the evacuation zones.
We urge the public to stay diligent, to stay ready, as the danger has absolutely not passed.
We have team coverage with the latest from Los Angeles, plus more on the rare wind warning that has officials on high alert. Also this morning, a bombshell report about President-elect Donald Trump out just days before his inauguration. Special counsel Jack Smith saying Mr. Trump, quote, inspired supporters to commit violence on January 6th. And embattled Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth set for confirmation hearings today. We'll have the latest. Plus, TikTok on the clock with the popular social media app facing a potential nationwide ban. One billionaire is making his pitch to buy it, his bid for the company, and why it's far from a done deal. And winning in the workplace. New this morning, U.S. News and World Report is out with this year's best jobs list. We'll have your first look at who's at the top. Might surprise you. Maybe it's exactly what you do and you love your job.
Some good news if you are in the medical field.
So exactly right.
She's right there. Good morning. Good to have you with us on a Tuesday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to begin, of course, with the latest on those deadly California wildfires. This morning, the National Weather Service issued what's called a particularly dangerous situation red flag warning in the Los Angeles area. Officials say the extremely rare and alarming fire conditions are bolstered by the resurgent Santa Ana winds.
More than 8,000 firefighters are now on the front lines, with the National Weather Service calling the situation about as bad as it gets.
The anticipated winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in all of Los Angeles County critical.
This morning, 13 million people are under red flag warnings, stretching from north of Santa Barbara all the way down to San Diego County. Well, investigators have not determined what caused any of these destructive fires yet. The ATF is now leading a newly formed task force to figure out what started the Palisades fire. We have team coverage of this ongoing disaster. Meteorologist Angie Lassman is standing by with the full forecast. We begin with NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz in the devastated Pacific Palisades community. Liz, good morning. Tell us, what are you seeing on the ground right now, and just how are they preparing for yet another round of Santa Ana winds?
Well, hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. I mean, there's definitely a lot of concern right now with that PDS warning. This is a very rare warning, and now we've had two in just the last week. Today marks 1 week since the Palisade and Eaton fires ignited, and so officials are saying they're better prepared this time, that they are pre-positioning crews into some of the critical areas right now. But this all comes then as there's still so much to be done here with thousands of people still displaced, and that includes thousands of kids that don't have a school to go back to. We're at one of the elementary schools that is completely destroyed from the fire here in the Palisades. I'm going to just show you around a second because it's really eerie to see. This is what we were told was a classroom right here. And then to give a sense of just sort of also how random fire is, but really the scene of what was happening at the time. These are these charred out cubbies, and you can see untouched there, filled with some dust, the lunch boxes standing there. Some of them still even appear to have food in them. So a reminder that a week ago today, those kids had to evacuate from their school, and now they have no school to return to. And I talked to the superintendent here, and he pointed out that there's one building up there that's still standing. That one has a metal roof and was built later than the other buildings with different codes. He said as they rebuild, they're going to think about that, keep that in mind as they try to use more fire-resistant material when they rebuild.
Liz, you see a scene like that, you think of kids who might be confused about what's going on, about not going back to school. I know residents have been desperately trying to get into the area and many being turned away. How are people in Pacific Palisades doing? How are they handling this a week out?
I mean, it's hard, Savannah. I mean, seeing that, it is chilling. It's so sad. And a lot of people right now have left the area. Some of them have. I was talking to some students yesterday who said over the past week they've been to hotels, they've been to friends' homes, they were out in different parts of Southern California. Now they've made their way closer to San Diego to be with a friend. So people are displaced and they don't really have a place to go. I talked to another couple. The first thing their son said, we got to get on the housing right away. We got to get on it. And they started immediately looking for rentals, and they were able to get one, but they said it was a horrific ordeal, that they were consistently being outbid. They said that someone outbid them by, more than like $3,000 to get a place. They said it's horrible out there as everyone's racing to get rentals in this already stretched thin housing market.
And Liz, you are standing there in a school where a school once stood. It's noteworthy because the LA Unified School District returning to classes this week. Many students don't have a school, don't have a home to go back to. How's the district handling this situation right now?
Well, they say for the two schools, LA Unified School District has two schools that are completely destroyed, and then they oversee another one, Palisades Charter High School, that is partially destroyed, but students can't go back to that one just because of all the hazardous material anyway, and potentially won't be able to go back there for months. The students who are at this elementary school, the superintendent tells us that they will be able to go to school tomorrow at a nearby elementary school that has the space to absorb them. The other elementary school that's destroyed, they're going to all be going to another elementary school. What's amazing about that is the district is keeping in mind the fact that they've already been through so much. These kids, they don't want to split them up and send some here and some there. They are literally making the effort to send the entire school, all the staff, all the administration, to another school where they're going to set up temporary bungalows and trailers to try to recreate a school environment for them for the time being. And they say they've been getting an outpouring of support with people coming by to those bungalows and dropping off school supplies and all these things to try to make the classroom feel like their classroom again.
That is so great. These kids have experienced so much loss. It's good to know that there's something there that will be consistent. Liz Kreutz, thank you so much.
Yeah, incredible reporting, Liz, this whole time. Thank you. Well, with the forecasted winds bringing the possibility of new fires, some homeowners plan to do whatever it takes to protect their property. NBC News Now anchor Gotti Schwartz has their stories.
For days, so many across Los Angeles faced off against apocalyptic wildfires. Some homeowners defying the evacuation orders, choosing to protect their properties amid the hellscape.
We need a water drop.
We need a water drop.
Sprinklers, hoses, generators, pumps. Facing new red flag warnings, some Angelenos say they are preparing for round two. In wealthy enclaves, rows of water trucks and private firefighters standing at the ready.
And right here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different water trucks. There's another 3 down the way.
Those in the evacuation zones who lived to tell the tale of how they saved their streets say they did what they could with high-pressured hoses.
So we were in all of our neighbors' backyards and lugging our hoses around.
In Altadena, Felipe Carrillo saving 2 houses on his street with a garden hose.
I caught on fire a couple of times.
You caught on fire?
Yes, and so what I started doing is every once in a while I would just spray myself with the garden hose. Just soak myself with the garden hose and continue to fight.
Fire officials say those who stay to fight the fire are putting their lives at risk. 66-year-old Victor Shaw died in the Eaton fire. His remains found holding a garden hose. Right along the coast, owners of this row of homes had their own fire hoses ready and some willing to risk their lives.
There's another hot spot that just started up. So we're hooking up our fire hoses again to put it down before the wind starts again.
When the fire rolled in, Clayton Colbert and his friends stood their ground, tapping into the hydrant and saving 6 homes.
Do you have any firefighting experience? I mean, did you?
I do now.
Yeah. What do you think would have happened if you and your neighbors weren't here?
Oh, my house would have been gone in a matter of minutes.
Steve Foster's home is still standing, but most of the surrounding community is gone.
It's been difficult, but we're getting through it.
Would you leave?
I'm not leaving. I've been here the whole time. I have no intentions of leaving until my neighbors are back.
Now, technically here in the state of California, it is a misdemeanor not to evacuate, but that's not always enforced in all the chaos. However, firefighters say, bottom line, every moment during a firefight is precious, and if they have to be pulled off of a fire line to come save somebody that's not supposed to be there, it not only jeopardizes their lives, but puts the whole community at risk. Back to you.
Gotti, thank you so much.
Let's take a closer look at what exactly to expect with these Santa Ana winds. Time for your morning news now weather with meteorologist Angie Lassman.
Yeah, she's tracking the latest on the fire threat in California this morning. Those scary, scary winds causing an issue for firefighters. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You're exactly right there. Those are ramping up, and we've expected this. This is the time frame where we were expecting the strongest winds over the next week or so. So here's what's going on. We've got that red flag warning. You heard a little bit about how rare this situation is when it comes to a red flag warning with that extra tacked on layer of a particularly dangerous situation. That's from the wording from the National Weather Service. You can see those are for the areas that are shaded in that darker red. We've only seen about 5 of these in the Los Angeles area from the National Weather Service there in history. We've got one in 2020. We've got a couple just in this past January, 2 of those, and then 2 more back in 2024 in November and December. So it gives you kind of a sense of how serious the situation has to be in order for the National Weather Service to issue that kind of wording. It basically just means we've got extremely critical fire weather expected today, again, in the same area. So let's take you through kind of the fluctuation that we can expect for those winds. There is going to be kind of a roller coaster ride with these. So later this morning, that's when we're expecting the highest winds, 50 to 75 mile per hour gusts. The higher in elevation you are, the higher those are going to be. You can see some of the numbers here as we get into the later parts of this morning, closer to the coast, even 20, 30, up to 40 mile per hour winds. Now, this afternoon, they weaken a little bit. Weaken is kind of a loose term because at this point, we're still going to look for peak gusts between 40 to 55 miles per hour. We'll keep the humidity levels low, and these will still be some offshore winds that we're going to have to deal with. And of course, the vegetation still dry. We don't have any rain in sight really for the extended period. So all of those conditions are going to last. Overnight tonight, offshore winds are going to once again increase, and you can see 45 to 65 miles per hour. We've got a couple of 60 mile per hours up there in, again, the higher elevations of the mountains, but even closer to the coast, 40, 50 plus miles per hour. Now, the good news is by the time we get into tomorrow, we'll start to see that Santa Ana wind event kind of relaxing a little bit. It'll diminish. Again, still 25 to 45 mile per hour gusts, though, so we don't see complete, stillness when it comes to the wind, and we'll keep the humidity levels on the low end as well. All that being said, this is really one of the areas that we're most concerned about today with the extreme risk, really extending from Glendora to Santa Clarita, Thousand Oaks included in there. But where you see that red, that's that critical risk that we're going to watch. And that really extends from Santa Barbara County all the way down to the Mexican border. Looking ahead to tomorrow, there's no extreme risk, but we still do have that critical risk, remember, with those improving conditions for the second half of the day. So we'll keep a close eye on that here. This is going to be something that we'll see, guys, kind of, up and down for the day today, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of those gusts are really, really impressive, especially in the higher elevations that we get.
All right, Angie, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, just days before his second inauguration, a report released overnight says President-elect Donald Trump engaged in a, quote, unprecedented criminal effort to stay in power after losing the 2020 election. It's according to the highly anticipated investigation by special counsel Jack Smith, which was released despite a last-ditch effort by Mr. Trump to block it.
In the report, Smith says the president-elect, quote, inspired his supporters to commit acts of physical violence on January 6th. Smith says he believes that had Mr. Trump not won the 2024 election, the case would have ended in the president-elect being convicted at trial. Smith, who resigned last week, also submitted a second report on that classified documents case, but that is yet to be released because of the pending charges against Mr. Trump's co-defendants.
NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us now. Ken, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So walk us through some of the main findings and allegations made in Smith's report, but then remind us also what happens or what the implications are given that he's no longer special counsel and this is off now, essentially.
Good morning, Savannah and Joe. That's a great question. The implications are really, this is for history. Donald Trump won the election and he won the legal argument, essentially. These cases have been dismissed. They will never go to trial. He will not face justice. But this 174-page report is a powerful narrative laying out the facts and the evidence in this case. And as you said, Jack Smith arguing that he absolutely would have convicted Donald Trump before a jury in Washington, D.C. on these charges. This is only one half of the 2 cases that he brought against Donald Trump. This is the election fraud January 6th case. And essentially, what I found to be most interesting about this report was the introductory letter from Jack Smith in his own words, which we really haven't heard throughout this process, where he lays out his approach to this investigation and really refutes or tries to refute Donald Trump's longstanding charge that he was politicized, that he was manipulated by Democrats in the Biden administration. He says at one point, anybody who knows me knows that the idea that I was influenced by the Biden administration or political actors is laughable, guys.
So, Ken, we know President-elect Trump made that 11th hour attempt to try and block the release of this report. Clearly that failed. How's he reacting now that it's out?
Angrily, Joe, as he is wont to do. He's on Truth Social overnight, repeating his baseless charges that Jack Smith was a political actor, that this was all a put-up job by the Democrats to stop him from becoming president, saying that Jack Smith was a disgraced prosecutor, kicked off the case. By that, he's referring to Judge Eileen Cannon's ruling down in Florida that the way the Justice Department selected Smith was unconstitutional. Many people believe that will be overturned on appeal. It's a minority view in the judiciary. But that's how Mr. Trump is reacting. But at the end of the day, again, he won the argument. He's president, and these charges will go away.
Ken, while we have you, we also do have to ask you, we got another special counsel final report, this one on the case against Hunter Biden, who was facing gun and tax charges. Then, of course, his father, President Biden, pardoned him. What came out of that?
So the most interesting thing about this report by special counsel David Weiss, who is a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney who was then appointed by Merrick Garland to be special counsel, was David Weiss's denunciation of President Biden's justification for pardoning his son. Weiss passionately argued that he brought these cases against Hunter Biden based on the facts and the law, that it was not selective prosecution, as Joe Biden argued in his letter outlining the pardon. And Weiss said that by saying that, Biden was really undermining confidence in the judiciary and the legal system, that it was absolutely wrong that he did that. It was unsupported by the charges. He said these cases were fair. He said that Hunter Biden evaded millions of dollars in taxes. He knew he was doing so. He turned down a plea deal. He was facing years in prison. But again, Hunter Biden now pardoned by his father, so those cases are over, and this was the final report.
All right, Ken, thank you very much.
From the courthouse to Capitol Hill, confirmation hearings for Mr. Trump's cabinet picks are set to get underway later this morning.
First up today will be Pete Hegseth, Mr. Trump's controversial choice for defense secretary. He will go before the Senate Armed Services Committee. This comes as we're learning new details about Hegseth's FBI background check. So 3 sources with direct knowledge of the report tell NBC News that it does not contain interviews with key women from his past. That includes ex-wives or that woman who accused him of sexually assaulting her in a California hotel room in 2017. Now, Hegseth was not charged, and he did pay an undisclosed sum to his accuser as part of a settlement agreement in 2023, and he's denied any wrongdoing.
Today will kick off several days of hearings with other picks for the Trump cabinet set to face questioning tomorrow and on Thursday. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent and host of MSNBC's Way Too Early, Ali Vitale, joins us now with a preview. Ali, good morning. No doubt Democrats are going to hammer Hegseth on everything we just mentioned. So set the stage for us. What can we expect on the Hill today in this hearing?
This is finally the culmination of weeks of Hegseth shuttling around Capitol Hill for private meetings, now in the public eye. He's going to be testifying just a few hours from now in the first salvo of these confirmation proceedings. Hegseth alone in the spotlight, and certainly he's been filling the oxygen and taking up all the oxygen on Capitol Hill, but this is now going to be the public grilling that many senators have been waiting for. On the Democratic side, there are concerns at this point about the information that they've even been given so far. The FBI background check portion is always a key piece of any confirmation proceeding. Doesn't matter if it's the incoming Trump administration, the incoming Biden administration. This is what happens for cabinet level nominees that are being adjudicated by the Senate. Now senators are saying that they feel they don't have enough information. There are glaring gaps in that FBI background check. That's now probably something that they are going to bring up in these hearings. The fact that there were already concerns about Hegseth's ability to do this job because of allegations that you mentioned, Savannah, of sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, but also abuse of alcohol in various other roles that he's had. That's reporting that NBC News has done. And then misuse of funds at veterans organizations that he's run. All of those are going to be key questions from senators, and we'll be looking specifically at Senator Joni Ernst, a Republican on the committee who has expressed some skepticism about Hegseth's nomination, but who has also faced a lot of pressure online and from colleagues to get on board with the Republican pick.
Ali, let's talk a little bit about what I also mentioned a moment ago, that this background check does not include interviews with his ex-wives or the woman who accused him of sexual assault back in 2017. That's according to sources with direct knowledge of the contents of the report. What do you think about that? Is that normal, given the questions surrounding his nomination?
Typically, they would be talking to former spouses in the course of doing investigations like this. But our colleague Sarah Fitzpatrick actually put it to me so plainly yesterday morning when we were talking about this. The FBI is doing these background checks, but their client, so to speak, is not Congress. They're not doing it with the goal of we have to give people the most exhaustive report possible. The parameters are actually likely being set by the Trump transition team, who is the client, the way Sarah explained it to me, in these proceedings. And so that is something that is important. We've seen reporting in other places that a member of the Trump transition team was actually present when the ranking member of the committee and the chairperson of this committee were briefed on what was in the background check. And so as much as this is a clear look and a more transparent look for lawmakers into this and other nominees, it is not devoid of the typical politics of this, which the Trump transition team clearly trying to manage the depth of this kind of background check.
And Allie, on top of all this, we also know some current and former military officers are expressing concerns about Hegseth, specifically about statements he's made about war crime prosecutions of U.S. troops. Tell us more about this and whether that could play a role in the hearing.
Yeah, there's a concern, Joe, from veterans groups that he would turn a blind eye to misconduct within the military. And I'll even read a piece of the book he put out last year where he says, in some cases, this is Hegseth's words, our units were so boxed in by rules and regulations and political correctness, we even second guess ourselves. That needs to end. Count me out on the Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm with the American warfighter all the way. And the concern there is that he would be turning a blind eye to misbehavior within the military. And the other piece of the concern is that this, for any other nominee that didn't face all of the baggage that we've talked about, would probably be one of the central tenets of this hearing. But with everything else in the swirl, will it get its due? I guess we'll see in a few hours.
You're about to find out. Allie, thank you so much. And NBC News Now will bring you live coverage of the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing on Capitol Hill. It gets underway this morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern.
With his term winding down, the White House announced on Monday that President Biden officially canceled student loan debt for more than 150,000 additional borrowers. The new beneficiaries included public service workers, people with total and permanent disabilities, as well as borrowers who were cheated or defrauded by their schools.
It brings Mr. Biden's total student debt forgiveness to more than 5 million people throughout his presidency. Comes after about 2 years after the Supreme Court struck down the president's initial debt relief plan, derailing one of his major campaign promises. But President Biden says his administration is now, quote, forgiven more student loan debt than any other administration in history.
We've got much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, we're going to look at how to deal with the impact the California wildfires can have on mental health. We will speak to an expert for tips on how to cope with the disaster yourself and how to talk about this frightening event with your kids.
Up first, a potential breakthrough in the Middle East. Today, negotiators head to what sources are calling a final round of talks as they try to hammer out a hostage deal between Israel and Hamas.
We're back now with new hope in the push for a ceasefire and hostage deal in the Israel-Hamas war.
According to Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson this morning, drafts of the ceasefire agreement have been handed over to both sides while talks continue. Now, in his final foreign policy address yesterday before leaving office, President Biden said the deal is, quote, on the brink of coming to fruition. He also spoke about the urgency of getting a deal done.
Pressing hard to close this. The deal we have structured would free the hostages, halt the fighting, provide security to Israel, and allow us to significantly surge humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians who've suffered terribly in this war that Hamas started.
NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdin joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Danielle, good morning. So walk us through the details here about how close we are and also what we know about a potential hostage release and prisoner exchange.
Well, it seems from all sides that they have never been this close. And in the words of a senior Israeli official, they have never been in such detailed negotiations. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of details involved in this deal. And what I can tell you is that in the first stage of this deal, we would see the release of 33 hostages on humanitarian grounds. It was 34 up until last week, but as you know, one of the hostages was found dead in a tunnel. Those who would be released will be the women, children, those over the age of 50, those who are injured and ill. Now, the majority of them are believed to be alive, but Israel has no evidence of that just yet. In return, we would see what has been described as a significant number of Palestinian detainees released. We're told that it's in the hundreds. How many exactly is still to be determined by the number of hostages who come back alive. Now, during this period, the IDF will withdraw from the more densely populated areas into a buffer zone along the Gaza border. Those who have been displaced from northern Gaza, the Gazans will be able to return to northern Gaza. There are security arrangements in place. What exactly that means in terms of vetting is still unclear. The second stage will then see the release of the remaining hostages, the younger hostages, the male soldiers, and those who were killed either on October 7th or in captivity. But the IDF is clear they will not leave the Gaza Strip until all hostages, dead or alive, have been returned.
So, Danielle, I mean, multiple officials had said negotiators made significant progress over the weekend as they just try to broker a truce in this war that began 15 months ago. Peace has been so elusive. A deal has been so elusive. Do we know what has changed from Hamas's perspective to get us to this point right now?
Well, the Middle East is, there's a different picture in the region. Hamas is obviously much more isolated. He doesn't have Hezbollah to count on. Hezbollah, of course, struck a deal with Israel. We've seen the toppling of the Assad regime in Syria. Iran is much more vulnerable. And so what this Israeli official we've spoken to has said is that this ring of fire backed by Iran has been dismantled by Israel, which means that now what they say are optimal conditions for a deal. If you're Hamas, you have to think, is the deal that's on the table now going to get any better or worse under President Trump? And it looks like they're calculating that this is as good as it's going to get. Of course, there's been also the tough talk by President-elect Trump that all hell will break loose, that they'll be held to pay. How exactly that would look in Gaza, I mean, most Palestinians would tell you it cannot get any worse than this. But still, all those factors combined have led to this moment, and we're definitely seeing a sense of urgency to get this deal done before this de facto unofficial deadline of January 20th, the inauguration of President Trump.
Danielle, as Joe pointed out, peace has been so elusive. It feels like we've been here before, but never actually reached the finish line on this. So we don't know. What does this look like? I mean, how soon could a deal be implemented? What would next steps be?
Well, we've heard various reports. It could be, according to two U.S. officials close to the negotiations, we've been told that it could happen within 48 hours of a deal being announced, the first hostages released, I mean. But it could take up to 7 days. One thing to keep in mind, Savannah, is that the cabinet has to approve it, and critically, families of the victims of the Palestinians who are being detained, they have to be given a chance to take their case to court, to the Supreme Court, to try to block their release if they so wish to do so. And so it will happen quickly. That's what it seems like. Not immediately, but it could be a question of days, really. If a deal is announced today, we could see some of the hostages released by the end of the week.
Danielle, incredible reporting. Thank you very much.
More international headlines this morning. South Korea's president's impeachment trial off to an already dramatic start.
Claudio Lubanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. The president of South Korea failed to appear at the first day of his impeachment trial in the capital, Seoul, today. Now, President Yoon Suk-yeol has been hiding in his fortified residence, protected by security guards, since he was stripped of his presidential powers after his short-lived declaration of martial law in December. According to South Korea's media, his lawyer previously said the president will not attend the trial due to the safety concerns related to the efforts to detain him for questioning. But experts say his refusal to attend the impeachment trial is only going to delay his inevitable political downfall. Let's go to South Africa now, where the government has agreed to try to bring back to the surface hundreds of people who've been hiding in an illegal mine since August last year. The standoff followed the government's decision in 2023 to crack down on illegal mines across the country. In an attempt to force the miners out last November, authorities blocked the supply of food, water and medicines. Well, now the decision of the government to try to find a compromise comes after families of the miners said at least 100 people died in the mine as a consequence of the blockade, while others were forced to eat cockroaches and dead bodies to survive. And thinking of buying a summer house in Spain? Well, think again. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said Spain is planning to impose a tax of up to 100% on properties bought by non-residents from countries outside the European Union, therefore also from the US. The Prime Minister told an economic forum in Madrid that non-EU residents bought 27,000 properties in Spain in 2023 alone. Not to live in, he said, but to make money from them. He said this has created a shortage of properties, and the hike in taxation is meant to make sure that all available homes are mostly available for residents only. Back to you guys.
I think 100% tax will accomplish that. All right, Claudio, thank you so much. Coming up, we are going to talk about how to manage the emotional stress that can come from an event like the California wildfires.
We'll also break down ways to talk to your kids about it in our mental health check-in when we come back.
Welcome back. It is time for our weekly mental health check-in. Today we're looking at how the wildfires in California are taking a toll on so many people's mental health a week after they started.
Yeah, whether you are directly impacted by the fires or maybe you're simply overwhelmed by having to explain this event to your kids, we want to help you with ways to cope.
Licensed marriage and family therapist Dr. George James joins us now to discuss. Dr. James, good to have you with us. So let's start with that mental health toll these fires have on the residents, on the first responders who've been battling these flames for a week now. Research shows people personally affected in these situations are more likely to have anxiety, depression, PTSD. Talk to us about the impact fires like this can have.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. Yes, dealing with these fires can be overwhelming for so many people, especially if you've lost a home or came close to or had to evacuate. You could definitely be dealing with some anxiety or overwhelmed. And what we want people to do is to not fight these feelings, to be able to feel the feelings. So you might feel sad, you might feel overwhelmed, you might feel even grateful that you were able to survive. And you might go through a wave of emotions, and that is all normal and okay. You just don't want to do it by yourself. You want to make sure you have support. You want to make sure you even seek out a therapist or counselor, and that this is hard. And we've seen this when we saw the Maui fires, when we saw Katrina, that people go through lots of emotions. Take care of yourself, seek help, but know that your emotions, that it's okay to feel them.
Dr. James, there are some organizations like the Southern California Counseling Center. They're offering no-cost therapy sessions for anyone impacted by the fires. Talk to us about some other resources available to support those impacted, and maybe give people some encouragement about what you might be able to gain from a session like this, maybe somebody who's a little overwhelmed or nervous about taking a step like this.
For many of us, just being able to start to talk about what we're feeling can start to feel better. It can feel like we're carrying a heavy load, and when we start to talk and share, we can also now start to feel a little bit better. So these organizations are really great with helping folks. Some other organizations might be NAMI, which is the National Alliance of Mental Illness. There's also Cal Hope. There are so many organizations, crisistextline.org you can go to, and just being able to have an opportunity to share. And what's good on the other side is being able to support folks who are going through these tough times can also feel good and also know that you're doing a really great service. So it can be helpful on both sides.
So many resources are out there. There's another aspect of fire that could be harming your mental health, and that's the smoke itself. We know that's a physical concern, but according to a study published in the journal Nature Mental Health, the smoke from wildfires has been linked with emergency department visits for anxiety disorders. Wow. Talk more about why experts think that is.
Well, smoke can just be overwhelming once again, right? As for some people, it can bring back the thought of if they had experienced a loss by a fire. For others, if they're dealing with even some health conditions, asthma and so forth, we find that in the study, they saw that it also impacted older adults who might have other like respiratory conditions. And so it just can be so overwhelming, even the fact of being able to breathe, that people feel like they need to go to the emergency room because they're nervous something is going on or that they're affected. So smoke can really trigger us in so many ways, and even just seeing it can bring up some anxiety for us. So really take care of yourself during this time and reach out to those who might be impacted or affected.
Dr. James, we've been teasing these upcoming tips all morning because it's so important. I mean, it's not just adults who are feeling the weight of a major disaster like this. Kids do as well, of course, especially those who aren't in their homes, aren't going to their schools. How do you approach this topic with kids who are either just seeing all this fire coverage, of course, is also scary, or maybe they're directly impacted?
Yeah, what we want to do with our children is that we want to be honest with them, that it is scary. We want to really help them to know that what they are feeling is legitimate and okay. We want to help them be able to find ways to talk about it, but also to not spend a lot of time. Give them opportunity to go back to their regular routine, to have fun. You want to be able to remind them that it's okay to breathe and that they could come talk to you. And those who are affected, there also might be showing signs of sadness or anxiety or any of these things that you might be feeling as an adult, and you want to connect with them. And overall, we want to just make sure we just continue to check in with our children by also modeling the behavior of saying, this is overwhelming, this is scary, but we also know that they're great people who are helping us or working for us or seeing what the firefighters have done. We can also show them these things because sometimes, especially young kids, they are inspired by that, by the heroes that are out there doing such great work, or the people who have been able to survive. So speak to your kids and share with them these messages and know that they can connect with you during these times.
I love that.
That valuable Mr. Rogers advice always comes in handy, to look for the helpers. Dr. George James, thank you so much as always. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Coming up, if you are on the hunt for a new gig, we've got an exclusive sneak peek at the list of the best jobs of 2025. We'll be taking a look at everything from which jobs pay the most to which ones offer the best work-life balance.
First, though, as the Supreme Court weighs the future of TikTok here in the U.S., NBC News sat down with an American billionaire who's angling to buy the Chinese-owned social media giant's American business. His interview up next.
We are back with a look at the future of TikTok. The Supreme Court currently deciding whether a U.S. law banning the social media app should be overturned.
If the court upholds the law, TikTok would be banned unless the app's U.S. business is sold by its China-based parent company, ByteDance. And there are some investors offering to buy the app. NBC News Daily anchor Kate Snow spoke with one of them and joins us now with that interview. Kate, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, Savannah, good morning. So it's really unclear if ByteDance will ever want to sell TikTok. But last week, billionaire Frank McCourt and other investors sent an offer to buy TikTok. McCourt's been crusading for a safer, better internet for years and says he would change TikTok fundamentally. You want to own TikTok?
I want Project Liberty to own TikTok.
Frank McCourt's family made a fortune in Boston real estate. He once owned the Los Angeles Dodgers. And in 2021, he founded Project Liberty, hoping to make social media safer and more protective of users' privacy. How much are you and your partners willing to spend on TikTok?
What we've said to ByteDance is we're going to keep the terms of our offer confidential. However, I have been fairly public about what we think it's worth, and that's $20 billion.
McCourt says ByteDance confirmed receiving the offer, but has sent no response.
And you need cash? I have cash.
He's partnering with Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank, who recently met with President-elect Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Did they talk about your proposition?
Yes, at a high level. They had a series of very good conversations about this, from what I understand.
TikTok has said they're not for sale.
Well, yeah. So TikTok is owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance has made the point that they're not for sale. But that's with the algorithm. My view is that when ByteDance understands that they can transact without selling the algorithm, I think their view is going to be totally different. Why not?
You think they'll want the money?
Why not?
But buying TikTok without its essential algorithm means McCourt's team would have to build their own, a process his team says could take 6 months to a year. Are you confident that all those users will stick around, especially younger users, will stick around for 6 months to a year during this transitional period?
Well, it will take about that time to onboard the 170 million people. It's done at first in small batches, and then you iron out any wrinkles, and then it's a larger batch.
He envisions an app where individual users have more control over their own data and could decide what kind of content they want to see.
The individuals have agency and control, and they can permission the use of the data.
But a former TikTok product manager says it wouldn't be easy to create a new algorithm.
Just to maintain TikTok at its current level, I think would be extremely difficult.
He said it would be extremely difficult to make it better than it is now. It would be very, 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 four varies, challenging.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. We've built technology. We spent 5 years building it, $500 million. We're now offering billions of dollars to ByteDance to buy the user base, the data, and the brand.
But would TikTok's 170 million users embrace these changes?
What if people just want what they've got now, even if that means their data's being given over to someone? What if Americans just aren't willing to give up this addictive algorithm?
It's why I use the example of cigarettes. You know, what if Americans are not willing to give up cigarettes?
Stop smoking.
We expect policies to be put in place to mitigate those harms and to encourage people to do what's in their best interest. The same thing is going to happen with social media. What people want is not always what's best for them.
So if they want TikTok, it may not be what's best for them, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. I'm not the only one that is seeing the harms of the current internet and saying that the internet is broken. Let's fix it.
Do you use TikTok yourself?
I do not, no. But I'm going to use the new version.
I'm going to use the new version. Overnight, the Wall Street Journal reporting that Chinese officials have internally discussed options, including the possibility of allowing a trusted non-Chinese party such as Elon Musk to invest in or take control of TikTok's U.S. operations. And they report that those officials are not communicating with ByteDance. Last night, Bloomberg reported something similar. And in a statement to NBC News, TikTok responded to the Bloomberg report saying, "We can't be expected to comment on pure fiction." Guys, we also reached out for comment ourselves from TikTok and ByteDance to our reporting on Frank McCourt's bid and did not hear back.
All right.
Fascinating reporting.
I like that he's concerned about the mental health aspect of this. And
no, he definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so many questions about whether it's them, someone else, if it's even for sale in the first place.
You've done so much reporting on this. We wait.
Yeah, we do. And great questions. Fascinating to watch. Kate, thank you so much.
U.S. News and World Report releasing its 2025 best jobs list today, and we are getting an exclusive first look.
Yeah, the annual list evaluates things like job growth and security, salary potential, also work-life balance across 17 categories. So according to the list, this year's top job in the U.S.
There you go.
I feel like we're revealing this so quickly. It's nurse practitioner.
There you go. Vice President of Careers at U.S. News, Carly Chase, joins us now. This is the second year in a row nurse practitioner has secured the top spot. Tell us a little more about why that is and just what other jobs we're seeing toward the top this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and we're really thrilled to be announcing our top jobs for 2025 this morning and here on NBC Now. So nurse practitioner, when we evaluate all of the top jobs, we look at 5 different criteria using all data directly from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So it's all incredibly data driven. We take a very objective look at all the different options. So in terms of the metrics that we assess to compile our top list of the 100 best jobs, we look at 5 different factors. So we look at work-life balance, we look at employment, we look at wage potential, future prospects, and job security and safety. So rounding out our top 5, if that's time to
go for it, yeah. Dig in.
In addition to nurse practitioner at number 2, you'll see IT manager. Number 3, physician assistant. Number 4, financial manager. And number 5, software developer.
All right, there you go. Pretty exciting. I know you also ranked some of the highest paying jobs when it comes to this, which is a little bit different than just that kind of that all-inclusive list. Walk us through those.
Yeah, so we really seek to inform our users with all different types of cuts of the list that can be useful to personalize this experience and their own job search. So the highest paying jobs really do focus on a lot of healthcare jobs, the top job being an OBGYN, and number 2 being psychiatry, and other healthcare jobs round out the top. 5, actually all the way down to number 9 until you get to chief executive at number 10.
And I guess all those rake in more than $100,000 a year, is that right?
They do, yeah. The top 5 jobs overall in our list are all over $100,000 paying a year. And yes, the majority of our highest paying jobs are also over $100,000 a year.
Wow.
So if that's the most important criteria to you, then you can really use our data to search for something that meets your financial needs.
Pilot, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's one of our new jobs this year, actually.
Speaking of which, pilots go just about anywhere, but location is important, right? When people are trying to figure out what it is they want to do. Talk about how that factors into your list.
Yeah, so we also look at the highest paying cities. We want to help people assess whether a move is right for them, especially when you're looking at how your year is going to go at the beginning of a brand new one in 2025. If you're thinking about moving, if you're thinking about new locations, you can see a number of different locations with the highest paying jobs. And some of those are pretty obvious, places like New York, where we are now, the Bay Area, Seattle, but then some smaller cities, especially in California, if you look at the Napa, Santa Rosa region, and the greater New York area, places like Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Notably missing the entire middle of the country, but the good news is it's usually a little more affordable to live in the middle of the country, so there you go.
Yes, you always have to sort of take the net into account.
All right, Carly Chase, thank you so much, appreciate it. And the full list, by the way, of U.S. News & World Report's best 25 jobs, you can find that right now on their website starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. It will be live. Coming up, a pet lover's worst nightmare has a happy ending.
Yeah, we'll show you the heartwarming moment. A Los Angeles dog owner was reunited with his beloved pup after he was missing for days in the California wildfires. Stay with us. We end this hour with some good news amid the devastating Los Angeles fires. The emotional reunion between a man and his rescue dog missing for 5 days. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz helped out here, and she spoke to the firefighter who helped reunite them.
That was it. I couldn't go.
We first met Casey Colvin amidst the chaos of evacuations.
My boss is actually calling me saying, is everything okay in the Palisades? I said, I'm in the city. I don't know.
The Pacific Palisades resident raced back, even renting a bike, trying to get home to his 2 dogs inside, but couldn't get past the roadblock.
I literally rescued them off the street. They deserve better than this.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
How do I get to my house?
A firefighter offered to go for him, knocking down his door, rescuing one of his 2 dogs. But the other, Oreo, was still missing.
Got the dog?
Yeah, this is my daughter. The behavioral dog, he ran out of the house.
Later that night, the Palisades fire reduced Casey's home to rubble, but his only concern, Oreo. For 5 days, he was missing. Then Casey got a call. Oreo spotted in the neighboring property.
It's your daddy. Hi, Bubba. How's the fire? Oh, honey. Oh, honey. Oh, my God.
It's the happy ending Casey prayed for.
Oh, honey. Oh,
and there's one person he really wanted to thank.
Hey, this guy saved your life. This guy saved your life. And you look like a Ken doll. What's up, dude?
Cal Fire Battalion Chief Brent Pasqua.
If that dog could talk, he would have a story to tell. He would have a national bestseller.
Had he not knocked down that door, both dogs would have been trapped inside.
Casey, what do you want to say to Brad?
When I first met you, I was in the middle of crisis. I was in the middle of a firestorm. My dogs would have died if not for you.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
We need that joy right now.
We so do.
I'm going to play that video every other day just to feel that
so
energy.
Happy for him.
That is going to do it for this hour morning news now.
But stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, the race against time to contain the devastating wildfires in Southern California. Those whipping Santa Ana winds returning overnight, sending first responders scrambling to tamp down any fresh flames. Tens of thousands of acres of land already torched, countless lives upended by tragedy. We are on the ground with the very latest. In Washington, many top Trump cabinet picks will be in the hot seat on Capitol Hill. This morning, Pete Hegseth, Trump's choice to lead the Pentagon, set to face a grilling by lawmakers amid allegations of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse. But will Senate Republicans ultimately rally behind the Fox News firebrand? We'll take a closer look. Plus, a new health alert for you on this Tuesday morning. Why some experts now sounding the alarm over Americans' growing risk of developing dementia as the nation lives longer. And later in the hour, we're hitting the slopes. One viral young skier's amazing road to recovery after a devastating accident. The subject of a brand new documentary, Kai Jones is truly making waves.
That is the title of a new series.
Exactly. It's going to introduce you to some incredible Gen Zers.
Yeah, waves with a Z.
All right, we are going to begin this hour with the devastating fires in Southern California. Officials say they are now responsible for at least 24 deaths and the destruction of more than 12,000 structures, including many homes.
Governor Newsom is proposing billions in additional funding for emergency response efforts and to jumpstart the recovery process. The region is on high alert again, though, this morning as powerful Santa Ana winds are expected to kick up. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest from the front lines.
Extreme winds whipping up flames in Southern California overnight, sparking a new blaze, the auto fire in Ventura County, burning through brush and forcing evacuation orders. First responders racing to contain it. As across the region, they mount an all-out attack to control the much larger fires that have devastated entire sections of Los Angeles, with those Santa Ana winds ramping back up overnight and due to peak today. 13 million people under red flag warnings. The National Weather Service calling the conditions about as bad as it gets. As investigators search the area looking for a cause, multiple law enforcement sources tell NBC News that an early focus is a possible human cause of the fire, though no conclusions have been reached. A week after the firestorms exploded, homes in the Pacific Palisades burn zone are still smoldering. Crews putting out hotspots here and in Altadena. Officials urging residents to stay out of evacuation zones.
People are saying, I just want to go look at my house and I want to see what's left. We know that, but we have people literally looking for the remains of your neighbors.
As thousands of families search for places to stay, the district attorney is vowing to prosecute illegal price gouging. But realtors and families we met say they're seeing homes go for thousands above asking.
We're going to find a house, I promise. I promise we'll find a house.
The Palmentier family, including their Papa Paulo, just one of dozens packing an open house in Santa Monica after flames consumed their beloved Palisades home.
Everybody's going to have 100 applications, and they're going to pick one, and hopefully they pick you.
A city on edge, searching for answers as deadly winds still threaten.
Our thanks to Morgan Chesky for that report. Well, the fire's cause has not yet been determined, but the ATF is now leading a newly formed task force to investigate the cause of the Palisades fire as multiple law enforcement sources tell NBC News that a possible human cause is an early focus in the case.
Let's take a closer look now at those dangerous winds out west.
Angie Lastman is here with the latest on that. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We've got, no surprise, still that red flag warning in effect for 13 million people. This is going to extend at least through tomorrow as we ramp up those Santa Ana winds here, especially as we get into the second half of our morning hours. Here's what's going on as far as that situation is concerned. We've got what we call a particularly dangerous situation. That's kind of an extra added layer of kind of intensity when it comes to these warnings that have been issued as far as the red flags are concerned. All that means we basically have extremely critical fire weather conditions that are going to expect to stay in place across this region as we get into even tomorrow. You can see, especially where that darker red is, those are the areas that we're most concerned by. Ventura to San Fernando, stretching farther east. We've got Pyramid Lake in there as well. So all of this area, something to watch here as we get through the first half of our day, especially where our winds really ramp up into the late morning hours. Notice where those peak wind gusts will land, 50 to 75 miles per hour. We could have sustained winds around 30, 40 miles per hour, but those gusts, especially the higher up in the elevations that you go up to 75 miles per hour, a little bit different when we compare it to last week's event as far as our wind direction, still offshore, but just a little different and different where we're looking at the greatest concern for geography. Now, either way, the higher elevation is going to see the higher wind gusts, but we've still got some amplified wind gusts even into this afternoon and evening, although they do look to weaken just a touch. 40 to 55 mile per hour peak gusts will be expected. No change in the humidity levels, honestly, or not one that is substantial here as we get through the next couple of days. So just expect it to stay dry. The vegetation will stay dry as no rain is in the picture. But we do start to see a little bit more of an offshore push of those winds increasing here as we get into the overnight hours tonight. And then tomorrow, a little bit of relief. Only a little. We're still going to see gusts 25 to 45 miles per hour, but every little bit helps, of course, when we're talking about that firefight from the air, especially with those helicopters and such for firefighters. Wind gusts 25 to 45 miles per hour, though, for tomorrow, so we'll still see kind of gusty conditions. So no surprise today that we've got that extreme risk for some locations. Glendora, Santa Clarita, stretching out to Thousand Oaks, all of the folks in that shaded area under that extreme risk. But notice how expansive the critical risk still is today. We've got Los Angeles in that elevated risk. Again, this is going to be something we'll see through tomorrow. Just we take off really the extreme risk. Instead, we've got critical risk from Santa Barbara stretching down to basically the border of Mexico. The conditions, though, will improve as we get into that second half of the day. Meanwhile, elsewhere across the country, we've got some wintry weather. We've got chilly temperatures for sure for a lot of folks, and 9 million people are under these cold weather alerts. Here's why. We've got teens in Chicago, but just a wind chill of 6 degrees. Notice as we look towards Minneapolis, it feels like 27 below. Even as far south as Atlanta, waking up to temperatures into those low 20s. So extra layers needed for a lot of the country this morning. We'll see that cold air kind of settle into this region. Just 10 degrees for your high in Minneapolis today. Chicago tops out at 18 degrees, low 30s for Philadelphia. And even as we get into tomorrow, guys, not much of a change for this chunk of the country. Still extra layers as our temperatures, even as far south as Charleston, top out just 49 degrees.
I was in Minnesota yesterday. Chilly is a good way to describe it.
You had what, 3, 4 layers?
It
How
was
many?
0 degrees, 0 degrees,
Wow. And
4
if you're
layers.
saying it was cold, then it really was cold. Yeah. All right. Angie, thank you so much. Well, for most Los Angeles students, schools reopened this week after wildfires forced citywide closures. But some students have nowhere to return to after the fires destroyed or damaged several schools in Altadena and the Palisades. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has a look at how students are coping with a semester that they never expected. Liz, your reporting has just been so incredible, watching that man reunite with his dog and now talking about something so important here for these kids. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, thank you. I appreciate that. And good morning to you. You know, a majority of the more than 1,000 schools that closed last week have now reopened. But like you said, there's still thousands of students that are displaced without a school to come back to. We're at one of the elementary schools that did burn down in the Palisades here. You can just see the destruction. We're told that this was once a classroom here. We've seen little remains of the students' lives. We saw little charred pieces of paper from their grammar books just scattered around. And come look over here. We saw in this charred out cubby, these lunch boxes still remain. They're totally intact, covered in dust. We even noticed some still have food in them. A chilling reminder of what happened here a week ago today as these kids had to evacuate. But we talked to students and teachers, and they told us that they're going to come back and rebuild.
This morning, a majority of Los Angeles Unified students back in the classroom after the closures from the Palisade and Eaton fires.
As long as the doors are open, I feel safe.
But the race to figure out how to get the thousands of other students still displaced back to school still underway.
Obviously a total loss at this point.
Los Angeles City Schools Superintendent Alberto Carvalho touring the devastation at one of the 3 schools in his district destroyed or damaged by the flames.
They're going to be back in the classroom the latest Wednesday of this week. They will begin with necessary conversations about what these kids witnessed and then the reassurances they need to hear that tomorrow is going to be okay.
While the 2 elementary schools will be shifted to nearby campuses, for the high school of 3,000 Palisades charter, it's unclear when they'll find a temporary home.
We're currently on day 6 of evacuation.
A hard reality for these students who since last week have been bouncing from one hotel or friend's house to the next. Starting next week, it's back to COVID-era remote class.
We've always looked forward to being able to go to high school together and them driving me to school every day. And now seeing that that's gone and our school is gone is so devastating.
These girls starting a campaign to rebuild the parts of their campus that were burned.
We didn't want to watch this happen. We wanted to find a way to bring our community together. And our driving force that started our GoFundMe is that we are so much stronger together.
These are kids who went through COVID, were disrupted then, and now disrupted yet again.
So they have experienced more as young kids than many adults have over their entire lifetime.
Now, teachers like Rick Stile stepping up to support their students while dealing with their own losses.
How are your students doing? Have you heard from any of them?
I've heard from many of them. I mean, I cry every night, basically, reading a text from one of them.
Stile lost his own home in the fire.
I'm trying to stay really positive, and I've taught my students to be that way in their life.
Amazing to see the resilience there. And, you know, I did ask the superintendent, how long is it going to take for this school here to rebuild? And he said often it can take a few years to build a school like this, but he promised that he's going to try everything that they can to expedite that process. And he said that also what's really interesting is that there is one building here on campus surrounded by a bunch of buildings that burned down. That building did not burn down. It has a metal roof on it. It was built later than the other buildings with different codes. He said they're going to keep that in mind, and they're going to try and use fire-resistant materials as they do rebuild. Savannah.
Liz Kreutz, thank you very much.
Overnight, the DOJ released a report by special counsel Jack Smith where he defends his investigation into President-elect Trump. In it, Smith says that President-elect Trump engaged in a, quote, unprecedented criminal effort to try and stay in power after losing the 2020 election.
Smith added that he believes Mr. Trump would have been convicted for his actions if he had not been reelected in 2024. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett joins us with more. Laura, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Nice to see you here. So the president-elect fought tooth and nail to try to keep this report under wraps, but he lost. It didn't work. And now Smith has given us a rare behind-the-scenes view into what it was like to prosecute the most powerful man on the country.
This morning, special counsel Jack Smith saying the government had enough evidence to convict Donald Trump had he not been reelected. An extraordinary capstone to an investigation into the president-elect's efforts to maintain power after he lost the 2020 election. A report spanning more than 100 pages. Now the final word on Smith's findings in the historic case that was set to go to a jury in Washington, if not for the department's long-standing policy against prosecuting a sitting president. The special counsel writing, but for Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency, the office assessed that the admissible evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial. Smith laying out what he called Trump's unprecedented criminal effort to hold on to power, including pressure on state officials and on his vice president to overturn the 2020 results. Smith also focusing on Trump's encouragement of the January 6 rioters.
We fight like hell.
The president-elect pled not guilty to all charges, consistently accusing the Justice Department of targeting him unfairly while using this investigation to his political advantage during his re-election bid.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it, you get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
Trump responding to the report in a series of posts overnight, railing against Smith, writing, Jack is a lame-brained prosecutor who was unable to get his case tried before the election.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Smith staying largely out of public view for more than a year after indicting Trump, but now defending himself and his team, writing in a letter accompanying the report, to all who know me well, the claim from Mr. Trump that my decisions as a prosecutor were influenced or directed by the Biden administration is, in a word, laughable.
All right, Laura, so we know that Jack Smith had another federal case, the classified documents case out of Florida. There's a report for that, but are we going to see it?
Yeah, remember, he dismissed that case against Mr. Trump, obviously, because he's about to be sworn in. But the case is technically still active because, remember, he had two co-defendants, and you're not supposed to release damning information against people who are still awaiting trial. And so because that case is still active, he's holding this report. So we may never see it because, of course, once Mr. Trump is now back in office, he can just dismiss the whole case and keep the report under wraps.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. Appreciate
Laura,
it.
Good to have you on set with us. Well, now to Capitol Hill, where the first confirmation hearing is set to take place this morning for the incoming second Trump administration. President-elect Trump's pick for Defense Secretary, that's Pete Hegseth. He'll appear before the Senate Armed Services Committee. Hegseth has faced allegations of sexual assault, alcohol abuse, and financial mismanagement, all of which he's denied. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has a preview.
Pete Hegseth is expected to face some tough questions in this room around allegations related to sexual assault and alcohol abuse. They're accusations that he denies. Now, he can win confirmation without a single vote from a Democrat. which means he'll be working to win over skeptical Republicans today. Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Defense, is an unconventional pick for an unconventional president, and someone who, despite a long list of controversies, Trump has stood behind.
He loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it.
Hegseth is a decorated combat veteran and ran 2 veterans organizations, but his main professional experience was as a Fox News host. In his opening statement obtained by NBC News, Hegseth leans into that outside perspective, saying that Trump believes, quote, it's time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm, a change agent, someone with no vested interest in certain companies or specific programs or approved narratives. Hegseth has also been the subject of numerous media reports about his background, including police confirming an investigation into a 2017 encounter with a woman who accused him of sexual assault, an allegation he denies, and no charges were filed. Hegseth has said the incident was consensual and that he paid his accuser an undisclosed amount in 2023 as part of a settlement agreement. Some GOP senators have been quick to dismiss the claims.
I'm 110% behind Pete Hegseth. We're going to get him across the finish line.
But other senators want more information about that incident and other accusations. The committee received an FBI background check last week. But sources tell NBC News it does not include interviews with the woman who accused Hegseth of sexual assault and both of his ex-wives, leading Democrats to look for answers in the hearing.
Well, it raises significant questions, and that's the purpose of our hearing.
While Republicans and some veterans organizations are rallying around the pick.
He's a patriot. He's went downrange. He's done the right things, and he's got my vote.
There are 53 Republican senators, meaning that Hegseth can afford to lose just 3 Republican votes and still win confirmation. One senator to watch today, Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa. She is a sexual assault survivor and a military veteran. If she appears skeptical during her questioning, that could be a sign that there are cracks in his support from Republicans.
Ryan, thank you.
New this morning, talks centering on a ceasefire and hostage deal in the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas appear to be in the final stages. A spokesperson for Qatar's foreign ministry says drafts of a ceasefire agreement have been handed over to both sides. For the latest, we're joined now by NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian. She's in Tel Aviv with the latest. Danielle, good morning. So what can you tell us about this potential deal breakthrough? Where do the talks stand right now?
Well, indications from all parties involved that there has been significant progress, according to one senior Israeli official, and I quote this person, they have never been in such detailed negotiations. Now, I'll get right to it. What we would see in the first stage of this deal that would last 42 days, we would see the release of 33 hostages. It was 34 until last week, but of course, as you know, one of the hostages was found dead in a tunnel. And so we would see the release of women, children, those over the age of 50, the ill, the injured, and the majority of them are believed to be alive, though Israel does not have absolute evidence of that. In return, we would see hundreds and hundreds of Palestinian detainees released. How many exactly? It's still unclear. We're told that the number will be determined by the number of hostages who come back alive. Now, worth noting here that since October 7th, 2023, Israel has arrested thousands and thousands of Palestinians in the West Bank, many of them held in what's called administrative detention, which means they've not been charged and they have not been tried. Now, during this period, the IDF would withdraw from the more densely populated areas and withdraw to a buffer zone along the border. They would maintain control of what's called the Philadelphia corridor, which is the strip of land between Egypt and Gaza. The second stage would see the release of all the remaining hostages. They include male soldiers and hostages who were killed either on October 7th or in captivity. But the IDF is clear they will not leave the Gaza Strip until all the hostages are back in Israel.
You know, Danielle, these talks have stalled so many times in the past. Do we know what's changed now? What is in Hamas's interest in trying to move forward with the final stages of a deal?
A number of factors. I mean, the Israeli official I referenced earlier talked about this being the optimal conditions for a deal. What do they mean by that?
where Israel is concerned, they have been able to dismantle what they call this ring of fire backed by Iran. Hezbollah has now signed a deal with Israel, so no longer launching missiles and drones at northern Israel. Iran is now more vulnerable than ever. The Assad regime has been toppled. Israelis say that they've tackled, and they continue to do so, the issue of terror cells in the West Bank. And so now is the time for this deal. Where Hamas is concerned, they have to look at what's on the table and who's coming into the White House. Is the deal that's on the table going to be better or worse under a President Trump? And it looks like they're making the calculation that it's not going to get any better than this.
All right, Danielle, thanks so much for your reporting. Appreciate it. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including why some health experts are sounding the alarm on a heightened risk of dementia as Americans live longer.
Up first, though, you could call it a real-life space jam. Too many rockets with out-of-this-world dreams and not enough launch pads to make those dreams come true. So could one actually come to your neighborhood in the future? Our Tom Costello's all over it. That's next. Welcome back. We've got to look at a growing issue for America's space industry. So here's the problem. There are not enough launch pads to handle the huge surge in rocket launches for NASA, the military, and all these commercial space companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin. So could a launch pad be coming to your state? NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello joins us now with more on this. Fascinating. Tom, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So only NASA and the military right now have the approved sites to handle big rockets headed to orbit. This week we have Blue Origin and SpaceX. SpaceX is now requesting formal FAA approval to launch up to 25 super heavy rockets from Boca Chica, Texas. The FAA held a public meeting about this last night. Nationwide, a lot of people don't want a launch pad in their neighborhood, but it's getting kind of crowded up there and down here.
Ignition and liftoff of Starliner and Atlas V.
From Boeing Starliner to Crew 9, launching from Florida.
Liftoff of Crew 9.
From Texas and SpaceX's mega Starship test flights to dozens of Falcon 9 Starlink satellite launches. The U.S. launched a record 145 rockets to orbit in 2024. SpaceX alone accounted for 95% of those. And this year, it's only going to get busier, with what the Wall Street Journal calls a traffic jam forming at 3 critical launch pads in Florida and California approved for big rockets.
I think it's going to be intense.
Now, smaller launch sites like the Pacific Spaceport on Kodiak Island, Alaska, are marketing themselves as faster and cheaper.
Now's the time because we offer availability. We can take a customer and get them up on time. We're not congested.
Blue Origin, Van Horn, Texas launch that is scheduled between 13:30 and 21:30 Zulu.
At the FAA's command center, managing air traffic congestion around rocket launches in Florida, California, and Texas is a daily challenge. Experts say the U.S. needs more spaceports to compete in the new global space race. George Neild retired as a top space expert at the FAA. How critical is it that the country is able to build out new spaceports?
Space is very critical for our national security, for our economic competitiveness, for inspiration for our students and our future workforce, and frankly, to support our everyday life. Communications, navigations, weather forecasts, agriculture, financial transactions.
Meanwhile, an update from the space station and 2 astronauts who left in June on a 10-day mission but are now staying until the end of March. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams insist they're both healthy and busy.
Now we have plenty of clothes. We are well fed.
No, it doesn't feel like we're a castaway. Yeah, eventually we want to go home because we left our families a little while ago, but we have a lot to do while we're up here.
Yeah, a lot to do. They have some space walks coming up that will keep them busy as well. Meanwhile, listen to this. The global space economy expected to hit $1 trillion in the coming years. It's no longer dominated by governments, of course. It's SpaceX, it's Blue Origin, it's Axiom Space among the U.S. companies trying to build out a future in space. But right now, again, there's a real shortage of spaceports back here on Earth, Savannah.
All right, Tom, really cool look. Thank you so much.
Turning to some health news now, a new study shows the risk of developing dementia could be twice as high as experts originally thought.
The study, which was released yesterday, it shows that nearly 42% of men and women in the U.S. will develop dementia in their lifetimes. Experts say one reason is because Americans are living longer.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us now with more on this study. Dr. Patel, good morning. So the CDC says nearly 10% of Americans older than 65 have already been diagnosed with dementia. Talk about why the risk is higher now than it was before, and do we know who's most at risk for developing dementia?
Yeah, we do, Joe and Savannah. This was a very interesting study over 3 decades with over 15,000 patients. And what we know now is a lot more just about living longer. We are living longer. That's the good news. But we're living longer with chronic diseases. That leads to these risk factors that they saw an appreciable increase in people with cardiovascular disease, diabetes, mental health disorders, and also very disturbingly saw an increase depending on race. They saw an increase in the risk of dementia for Black people, Black women and Black men, especially over white women and white men. So this is something that over time we've just been living longer, have better ways of looking at different populations, and now have the ability to do these longitudinal studies.
I am just floored by the number 42% of us. I mean, that is way bigger than I would have thought. What factors increase a person's chance of developing dementia?
Yeah, so some of those factors that I just mentioned, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, some of those things are modifiable. Let's put it this way, Savannah. Not everybody is going to get diabetes, but certainly if you are not working out, if you don't watch your nutrition, then you can actually have a higher risk of diabetes combined with some genetics, and that can add up to a higher risk for dementia. That number 42, by the way, I just want to emphasize that is staggering. This is something that I think now as a country we need to shift attention to, because the population of people with dementia essentially is going to double over the next 4 decades. But that's also because, Savannah, we're actually a larger population, both by size and as individuals. Our obesity rates, as we've talked about here, 3 in 5 adults, and even at the adolescent level, those are modifiable risk factors. And we should be thinking about ways to prevent that, because that in turn will help prevent some of these dementia numbers that we're talking about.
Speaking of prevention, are there things younger folks can do now to try and decrease the odds of getting dementia down the road?
Yeah, Joe, this is what I tell patients, because a lot of people want to come in and get a blood test and see, like, am I one of those 42% at risk? We don't have a diagnostic tool. So what we do is screen for all those things that I talked about that are modifiable. And then I tell people a lot of things that even I have a hard time doing myself. Getting good night's sleep. That's anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, no matter, depending on your age. Getting good nutrition in. But don't try to do all of these things at once, Joe, because you ultimately just won't be able to keep up the habit. So start one thing and try to modify your behavior. If it means just getting outside, and I really do mean outside, no matter what the weather, 15 minutes of getting outside every day, build that up to 30 minutes. That actually makes a statistical difference in modifying all these lifestyle and risk factors and disease factors we're talking about. It can all add up.
We keep hearing how much just a little bit of exercise can make a big difference. All right.
So true.
Dr. Kavita Patel, good to have you with us. Thank you.
Really important information. I just learned so much. All right, coming up, our continuing coverage of those devastating wildfires ravaging Southern California this morning.
After the break, the nonprofit that is bringing hot chef-prepared meals to those who need it most right now. That is next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We reported yesterday on how acts of kindness have been pouring into Los Angeles to assist with the devastation from the wildfires. We're going to talk to one group doing their part to help those impacted in the form of hot meals.
Mercy Chefs is a Virginia-based nonprofit specializing in disaster relief. And right now they're on the ground in California serving food to residents and first responders who are affected by the fires.
Joining us now is the Director of Logistics at Mercy Chefs, Nick Beckman. Nick, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have talked with your incredible organization before when other disasters have struck here in the U.S. We appreciate you joining us and the work you're doing. I know the Mercy Chefs team arrived in California over the weekend to assess the damage. What was that experience like, and what's it mean to the organization to be able to help those impacted?
Yeah, we're really honored to be here, as we always are, whenever disaster strikes. Fires, I think, are very specific, and we see it whenever we respond. Their randomness is truly terrifying. You'll walk through neighborhoods, and you'll find one house that has gone to ash. The next house over is standing like it was before the fire started. So I think that randomness makes it even more terrifying, and folks are grappling with that as they talk with neighbors other community members. It's very hard. So we're very honored to be here and offering a little bit of comfort in the form of a hot meal.
Nick, I know the first meals by Mercy Chefs were just distributed to victims and volunteers and firefighters and all those first responders. I have to ask, what was on the menu? How do you go about figuring out what you are going to serve everyone?
Sure. Yeah, our staff chefs are very, very talented, and they have menus that they prepare long ahead of time for any disaster. So a couple days ago, we served a chicken and veggie pasta dish, as well as a roll, a fresh salad, and some fresh fruit. We love to add as many components into that meal as possible, make it feel like you're at a restaurant or sitting at home around a table with loved ones.
In addition to helping those in California, Mercy Chefs, as I mentioned, we've talked with you before in situations like this. You continue to serve meals in North Carolina to help those that were impacted by Hurricane Helene. Two questions here. Your title director of logistics, how logistically tough is it for your organization to be on two different coasts? And also, what are the different challenges you face in those situations? You explained what's unique about a fire. Here you are seeing two totally different types of devastation.
Absolutely. North Carolina is our long-term commitment to the folks there. We've opened what we call a beacon of hope. It's a mid to long-term recovery center. So we'll serve 5 days a week out of that kitchen to community partners that we've established over the last couple of months serving there. Certainly very different than kind of our immediate response here in California. Our team got on the ground a couple days ago and trying to find a commercial kitchen space that we could use to make the most impact. So we've had a lot to do in the last couple days as we find all the pieces of the puzzle that we need to put together in order to make a really awesome impact here in California.
Nick, how can people get involved or help support Mercy Chefs? I'm sure they hear that you're doing this great work in multiple places at once and want to know.
Yeah, of course. If you're local here in Southern California, we'd love to have you out to volunteer with us. You can find that on our website. And if you're not and you do want to support this work, please feel free to join us. You can come to the website, find a way to get involved, either if you're local by volunteering, or financially if you're not.
Nick Beckman, we appreciate your time. Just incredible work you are doing. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Well, other West Coast states are also trying to help Los Angeles as the city grapples with these ongoing fires. Like in Washington, where one animal shelter there took in dozens of homeless pets from overcrowded shelters in L.A. Reporter Brady Wakayama from our Seattle affiliate King 5 was on the tarmac when the animals arrived.
It always makes us feel really great to be able to help, to see them come off the plane. You know, they're not riding first class. You know, we can't wait to get them out of their crates.
And eventually into their forever homes. Got them. With help from Seattle Humane.
When these things happen, we're one of the first shelters to really step up and say, yes, we can.
Taking these 39 dogs and 18 cats from Los Angeles area shelters, currently dealing with overcrowding because of the raging wildfires.
These are pets that were already in the shelter system way before the fires hit. These are pets that have been looking for homes for weeks and months and just weren't able to find them.
Seattle Humane partnered with Paws for Life Canine Rescue and Wings of Rescue, a nonprofit that helped fly these pets from Burbank Airport to Boeing Field Sunday evening.
There's no real competition in animal welfare. We're all in it. We all want to do the same thing, which is to help as many animals as possible, get where they need to be, which is home.
He says Seattle Humane always ensures it has enough room for potential pets being transferred from other shelters, especially ones dealing with natural disasters.
Pacific Northwest, we love our animals. They are our family, and they just have a better, higher chance of being adopted a lot faster, and that will make room for a lot more pets that are displaced from the fires to be reunited with their families.
On Monday, the shelter will begin checking the animals into its system, hoping these pets will be available for adoption on Tuesday.
So we can put like these big ones on the sides.
As the shelter continues working with nonprofits and shelters in California, always open to helping animals in need.
We look forward to saying yes again in the future and hoping to bring in even more pets.
Oh, wow, just incredible. Our thanks to Brady for that story. And again, thanks for the work they are doing. Coming up, a welcome sigh of relief for basketball phenom Caitlin Clark. After the break, we're going to tell you about the Texas man arrested, accused of stalking the Indiana Fever point guard, and the online messages sent to Clark. You will just have to hear to believe. That's next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. We've got details this morning about the man arrested for stalking basketball phenom Caitlin Clark. Authorities in Indianapolis have now charged a Texas man after prosecutors say they discovered a series of threatening and explicit online messages to the star, as well as a recent trip to Indiana they say was with intent to be in close proximity with Clark. So disturbing. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Goska is here with the latest. Steph, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Caitlin Clark told police she was concerned for her safety, especially when she learned that Michael Lewis, her alleged stalker, left his home in Texas and traveled to Indianapolis, where she plays for the Indiana Fever. When police questioned him at a downtown hotel, he said he was on vacation. Now Lewis is in jail. This morning, WNBA star Caitlin Clark breathing a bit easier. 55-year-old Michael Lewis from Texas is behind bars, charged with stalking after prosecutors say he sent Clark a series of sexually violent messages.
You not only have someone who's maybe in a place of prominence, but also just kind of the nature and the aggressiveness of what was being tweeted.
According to court documents charging Lewis, there were at least 14 messages between December 16th and January 2nd, many too explicit to quote. In one, authorities say Lewis wrote in part, "Been driving around your house 3 times a day, but don't call the law just yet." In another, "I'm getting tickets. I'm sitting behind the bench." The affidavit says the FBI discovered recent messages were sent from a hotel about a half-mile away from the arena where Clark's team, the Indiana Fever, play, as well as a library in downtown Indianapolis. When police questioned the Texas native, he claimed he was on vacation, and this is just an imaginary relationship, according to the documents. But prosecutors say the messages were threatening. Clark told police she altered her public appearances and patterns of movement due to fear for her safety.
The individual is starting to take affirmative steps to maybe bring himself in closer proximity to the victim. That made everybody certainly understand the urgency of the situation.
The basketball phenom, known for flashy three-pointers, wrapped up her first WNBA season with the Rookie of the Year award, propelling her and her sport into the national spotlight. We spoke with Clark just before the draft. I heard that season tickets are going like blazes in Indiana. Have you heard that rumor?
I have heard that rumor. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think they're selling pretty well.
The basketball star has handled all that attention with grace. Now prosecutors in Indiana are commending her courage as well. Prosecutors have also filed a stay-away order against Lewis, requesting he stay clear of the Gamebridge and Hinkle field houses. That's where the Indiana Fever play and practice. Lewis is scheduled to make his first court appearance later this morning. He faces up to 6 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000, Savannah.
Oh, so glad that authorities were able to do something to keep her safe. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, now for what's making financial headlines this morning. Disney's Moana franchise could be heading to court. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other Money News. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. So, yeah, Disney is being sued by an animator for allegedly copying the idea for the hit Moana movie franchise from a screenplay he wrote decades ago. Buck Woodall claims Disney lifted many elements from the film hero called Bucky. He initially sued the company last year, but a court ruled his filing came too late. Now, but the release of Moana 2 has allowed him to sue Disney again. He is seeking $10 billion in damages. Disney has previously said no one involved in Moana's development had seen his screenplay. Robinhood has agreed to pay $45 million to settle an SEC investigation into several alleged violations. They include one stemming from a data breach in 2021 that exposed millions of customer names and emails. It's the latest in a series of big fines the online broker has paid as it's grown from startup to a more established financial firm. And Bad Bunny announcing a residency in his homeland of Puerto Rico this summer. And it follows the release of his new album, which he calls his most Puerto Rican yet. Bad Bunny is scheduled to play 21 shows in July and August. Tickets for the first 9 shows are only open to local residents. And the title of the residency is No Me Quiero Ir de Aquí, which translates to I do not want to leave here, Savannah.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, now to a historic first. A highly anticipated book by Pope Francis is set to hit stores around the world today. Hope. It's the first autobiography by a living pope, and it will take readers through his journey from his early years in Italy and Argentina to his rise to the throne of St. Peter in the Vatican. Here's NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson.
The autobiography Hope was to be published after Pope Francis's death. But with the Jubilee year, it comes out today. The reality is quite simply that I am old, the 88-year-old writes. Hobbled by knee pain, Francis says it was embarrassing to use a wheelchair at first. But the church is governed using the head and the heart, not the legs. He explains why he recently simplified the papal funeral rites. Because the Bishop of Rome is a pastor and a disciple, not a powerful man of this world. The man who leads 1.4 billion Catholics says while there have been many problems, he has never lost sleep. On what he calls the evil of clergy sexual abuse, he writes, victims must know that the Pope is on their side, and on this he will not take even one step back. He also says there are no reasons to prevent women from taking guiding roles in the church. Just this month, he appointed the first woman to lead a Vatican department. But the issue of women deacons remains open to study. He reveals during his 2021 trip to Iraq, he was told of 2 potential attacks in Mosul, including a suicide bomber, but went anyway. When asked what happened to the attackers, he was told they are not there anymore. While he doesn't seek to settle scores, Francis insists his relationship with his predecessor Benedict XVI was deep and genuine, despite what he claims are made-up tales to tell the opposite story. And he explains why he invited that group of world-famous comedians to the Vatican last June, including The Tonight Show's Jimmy Fallon. We are made in the image of God, and our God smiles, he writes, and humor emphasizes the link between hope and joy.
Our thanks to Ann for that report. Well, in the book, the Pope also reflects on his impact writing The Church Will Go On. I am just one step in its history. Pretty amazing. Coming up, we are hitting the slope, so to speak, with a brand new series here on Morning News Now, spotlighting the talent and passion of Gen Z. After the break, he's a viral teen skier whose videos you may have seen online, but his time on the mountain is only half his story. Kai Jones joins us next on his remarkable recovery from tragedy at a young age. Stay with us. Look at that fun graphic. We are back now with the debut of a new series here on Morning News Now. It is called Making Waves. There's a Z at the end because this series is all about Gen Z. I'll be introducing you to some fresh new voices that are shaking up the arts, sports, politics, entertainment worlds, and beyond. And we're kicking things off with our first guest this morning, 18-year-old Kai Jones. Let me tell you about him. He's a professional skier who's making waves on the slopes. You might even recognize him from some of his viral skiing content. Well, Jones kicked off his professional career at just 12 years old. But that speedy uphill trajectory, well, it took a bit of a downhill turn following a devastating accident, forcing Jones to face some new kinds of mountains. He is opening up about all of this in his new feature-length documentary. It is out right now. It's called Falling Into Place. And I'm so excited to say Kai joins me live on set this morning. Kai, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Oh, I'm great. We are so excited to hear this is our first Making Waves, and it's you, and we love that.
I know. It's so exciting. I can't believe I'm the first one. Super happy to be here.
It's so awesome. We're going to get into just your story, the turn it's taken, sharing it in just a moment. But first, I just want to tell our audience, I understand you've been skiing since you were 2. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been skiing since I was 2 years old. My family's taught me skiing since a super young age, and it's been a huge part of my life. And I'm so thankful that I've been able to be out in the mountains from a young age and see such a beautiful environment. And it's definitely shaped who I am today.
We're going to talk about that accident I mentioned in just a moment, but I mean, spoiler alert, you're back to skiing. You're back on the mountain. It puts a pit in my stomach to watch the videos of you when you are at the top of one of what looks like basically the face of a just sheer cliff. Tell me emotions. Are you scared, or are you just, is it just what like gives you life and you're excited? Like, what does happen in your body?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm definitely scared, but I put so much preparation and thought and training into what I'm doing. So when I'm on top of these big, gnarly lines, I feel as prepared as you can possibly be for doing these things. So yeah, I'm human. I feel fear, but I definitely like to play with that edge a little bit and push my limits, and it makes me feel alive. And it's one of my favorite parts about life and doing the ski thing.
And you got back to it after this accident. So let's talk about it. Your life changed. It was March 7th, 2023, I think?
Yep.
What exactly happened that day?
Yeah, so on March 7th, for those of you who don't know, I broke both my legs and tore both my meniscuses, and skiing's been my life since 11 years old. I've been doing online school for my whole life, so it's literally all I've known, and in a matter of a moment, my whole life changed, and everything that I've been doing my entire life was stripped away from me, and it was a really humbling experience. And yeah, I was in a wheelchair for nearly 9 weeks, and it showed me this new perspective on life, and I had to work back from the very bottom and build up again, and it gave me so much gratitude for life and being able to wake up and walk out of bed and go ski and do these things that I get to do, and I could not be more thankful for that. And now being back skiing and being back riding the high peaks of Alaska, I just have so much more gratitude for life, and it's so special to be back from such a traumatic experience.
You kind of explained the physical recovery, but if you wouldn't mind, tell me a little bit about the mental health recovery. There's this moment even in the trailer that's just heartbreaking where you say, I'm useless. I can imagine when you're somebody who skiing is kind of your identity, you go through an accident, you don't know what you're going to be able to do again. It just really, it's as tough maybe mentally as it is physically?
Yeah, the mental battle is definitely almost harder than the physical battle because, like you said, I'm a skier and that's my identity, and I lost that, and I didn't necessarily know who I was, and that's a super hard reality to grasp as an athlete when you're going through an injury. So yeah, it took a lot of just working through my emotions and not running away from my problems. That was a huge part of my recovery, was just talking to people and reaching out to my peer group and my family and taking the help because I needed it at that point and stuff. I was at my very weakest point, so I think it's a true testament to reaching out to those who care about you because they'll help lift you up through your triumphs and trials.
Definitely. What do you want people to know about this documentary?
Yeah, I mean, super hard question, but I think that this documentary is so special to me. It's my life story, and obviously I'm a skier, and this story is about skiing, but I think this story is so much deeper than skiing. It shows that you can be faced with trials, and you can work hard and work through problems mentally, physically, and you can still accomplish your biggest dreams. So I think this resonates beyond skiing, and it can inspire anybody, and that was my goal with the whole film in the first place.
Kai, you have so much time left to just continue to impress us and do amazing things. There's a little bit of a buzz about the potential for free skiing to be added to the Olympics in 2030. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super exciting. Obviously, free skiing's been my entire life, so to see it on the big screens at the Olympics would be an absolute dream come true, and to be a part of it would be even more of a dream come true. So, yeah, it's super exciting. Obviously, FIS just bought the Freeride World Tour, so I think it's in the near future, and hopefully all the right things can align, and it can go there. It would be huge for the sport, and I think it would help grow it to be even bigger than it is today.
5 seconds, if you could fill in the blank with one word. Gen Z is?
I mean, Gen Z is the future. I think
That was a great one. Yeah. Kai Jones, thank you for joining us. You can stream Falling Into Place right now. It's on Amazon Prime. Kai, thanks for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Happy
really
to be
nice to meet
first
you.
one on the show.
Oh, yeah, we love it. Thank you for joining us. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.